We are just 10 hours away for voting to begin ahead of the 2015 presidential elections. The stage is set and last-minute preparations are being made at polling booths and counting centres across the island.
A wide network of reporters, correspondents, reporters have been strategically placed across every nook and cranny in the island to bring you the latest news on the elections first and fast. Good evening and welcome to your news at 9. I'm Joel Outsko.
And I'm Mahina Bongzo. Let's take a look at your headlines.
All preparations made for presidential election, polling from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Elections Commissioner urges voters to exercise their franchise early.
මට 100%ක්ම ස්ථිරයි නිදහස සාධාරණ ඡන්දවිශ්වාස කියන්න පුළුවන්.
Sri Lanka squad for the 2015 ICC Cricket World Cup named. Lasith Malinga and Nuwan Kulasekara included.
Elections Commissioner Mahinda Deshapriya has called on all citizens to go to their polling booths early, exercise their franchise and support the holding of a peaceful election. Speaking at a media briefing convened this morning on the presidential election, Deshapriya said that he had 100% confidence that a free and fair election would be held.
At the media briefing convened today, Deshapriya also elaborated on the voting process.
පක්ෂ අපේක්ෂක තොරතුරු වෙනස් කරපු ඡන්ද පත්‍රිකාවක් සංසරණය කරනවා. ඒක නිසා
A false ballot paper in which the information of candidates has been changed is being circulated. So we published a notice in the newspapers today depicting the ballot paper and the names and symbols of the candidates.
මහ ජනතාවට දැනගන්න. මම එය ඔබට පෙන්වීමට කැමතියි. තමන් කැමති අපේක්ෂකයන් තිදෙනෙකුට
You can cast preferential votes by marking the numbers 1, 2 and 3 in the box beside the name and symbol of the candidates. If you do not wish to mark preferences, then you need only mark the usual X in the box next to the name and the symbol of the candidate of their choice.
The Elections Commissioner also reiterated his commitment to holding a free and fair election.
What I must state most importantly is that if any person or group is found to have harassed voters, obstructed voters or officials at the booth, or is found to have attempted to chase voters away, then the tally from that booth will be nullified without hesitation. I have 100% confidence that we will be able to hold a free and fair election.
Our network of more than 18,000 new reporters too are prepared to bring you the latest from the presidential election tomorrow.
Voting will commence tomorrow and I am prepared to bring you the latest from the polls tomorrow.
Mama Newsfirst, you report Penwen Chandrakumara Dayaratna, Anuradhapura සිට.
I am prepared to bring you the latest from tomorrow's poll as it unfolds.
Mama Newsfirst, you report Bandarwila TTM Prisha.
The presidential election will be held tomorrow and I Newsfirst reporter Harish Kumara from Galle am prepared to bring you the latest. All preparations have been made for the presidential election and I too am ready to bring you the latest. The polls will be held tomorrow and I am ready to bring you the latest.
Mama Newsfirst you reporter Tuan Muhammad Razak Hambantota සිට.
I am ready to bring you the latest from the presidential election tomorrow.
Mama Newsfirst Salim Disanayaka Mahanugara සිට.
I am Vijay Singh Valikanda from Kurunagala, ready to bring you the latest from the presidential poll. The presidential election will be held tomorrow and I am ready to bring you the latest updates. The presidential election will be held tomorrow and I am ready to bring you the latest. We are ready to bring you the latest from the presidential election.
An SUV transporting ballot boxes and polls officials met with an accident in Hatton this morning.
An SUV with ballot boxes and polls officers dispatched to Ginigathena had thus met with an accident. The accident took place when the SUV collided with a lorry plying from Kitulgala to Hatton. Our correspondent said that 3 polls officers travelling in the SUV were injured. Although damage was caused to the SUV, the ballot boxes were transported to their respective destinations.
Newsfirst Sonali Wanigabaduge joins us now from Stein Studios in Ratmalana, where all preparations are being made to bring you the election results tomorrow, first and fast.
Good evening to you. We are joining you from the Stein Studio Complex in Ratmalana, where I can tell you all the action is taking place. We're just hours away from the presidential election 2015. Let me just take you through all the arrangements that are being put in place for tomorrow. Now, just behind me, you can see where we'll be bringing you the election results first and fast on News First. Come on to the left. You see the Satana political talk show, which will be hosted again during the election broadcast. If we move up a little further, we'll have a political analysis taking place where elections of the presidential election of 2005, election results of 2010 presidential election and the present day's election results will be compared, contrasted and analysed. So lots of action from News First in view of the presidential election 2015. We promise you a phenomenal election experience, so stay with News First throughout as we bring you the very latest. I'm Sonali Wanigabaduge for News First from Ratmalana.
Thank you, Sonali. Meanwhile, Newsfirst Nadim Majid is standing by live at the election headquarters to brief us on the preparations underway there for tomorrow. Nadim, it's over to you.
Thank you. Now, well, I'm here at the Newsfirst Nerve Centre, the First and Fast election headquarters. Now, this is where we'll be coordinating all of our network of provincial correspondents all across the country. These gentlemen here will be coordinating with these provincial correspondents, bringing you the latest news. Now, as we saw, Sonali, of course, at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana, where the results and the analysis will be taking place. This is where all the news pertaining to the presidential election 2015 is being compiled. These gentlemen working very hard to coordinate with our vast network of provincial correspondents. I also believe I should make a special mention of our U reporters. We have a vast network of U reporters who will also be bringing you the very latest from this presidential elections. Now, I'd just like to draw your attention here to this map, which shows our network of U reporters, over 18,000 News First U reporters who are prepared to bring you the very latest from the 2015 presidential election from all across the island, all 25 districts, across the thousands of polling stations from all across the island. They are prepared to keep you up to date. For the moment, back to the main news desk.
Thank you very much, Nadim. Well, as Nadim and Sonali promised, News First will bring you a phenomenal coverage of this year's 2015 presidential election. So stay with us. We are News First, and we will bring you unbiased, balanced and transparent, accurate information on this year's election. With that, we're going for a short commercial break.
Welcome back to the news. Now, polling for the presidential election will commence at 7 a.m. tomorrow and conclude at 4 p.m. The Election Secretariat says that all preparations are in place ahead of tomorrow's presidential election. Well, in more news, our network of more than 18,000 new reporters are prepared to bring you the latest from the presidential election tomorrow. Well, moving on to more news now.
15,044,490 individuals have been deemed eligible to vote. Voting will take place in 12,134 polling centres island-wide. Around 200,000 police personnel have been assigned on election duty, while 71,100 police officers have been dispatched to maintain security. The distribution of ballot boxes and dispatching election officers commenced this morning. Additional Elections Commissioner U. Amaradasa stated that this will be carried out under the directives of district returning officers. In Colombo, the distribution of ballot boxes and dispatching of election officers got underway from D.S. Senanayake College and Royal College this morning. 1.6 million eligible voters are expected to exercise their franchise across 1,076 polling centres.
I'm currently standing here opposite Royal College, Colombo, which is one of the main ballot box issuing centres here for the Colombo district. I must mention that there are around 72 ballot box issuing centres here at Royal College, while D.S. Senanayake has around 68. Now, these ballot boxes will be issued to around 1,076 polling stations here in Colombo.
In Gampaha, ballot box distribution and dispatching of election officers commenced this morning at the Pattalagadara National Education Centre.
The Transport Division has made the necessary transportation arrangements to dispatch the material and the election officers. We hope that all the eligible voters will start coming in to vote for a free and fair election starting from 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Election officers left to assume duties this morning along with the distribution of ballot boxes to 411 polling centres in Hambantota from the Hambantota Suchi National School. 462,900 registered voters are expected to exercise their franchise from the district.
All the ballot boxes were dispatched from the Suchi National School, which is right behind me, to their respective polling centres by 12 noon today. And the voting is expected to commence at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning and will conclude by 4 p.m. Over 8,000 government servers have been assigned to carry out election duties.
In Polonnaruwa this morning, election officers were dispatched for duty along with ballot boxes from the Pulatisipura Educational Institute. 307,125 registered voters have received eligibility to exercise their franchise from the district. Voting will take place in 288 polling centres in the polling divisions of Minneria, Madrigiriya and Polonnaruwa.
Location is a main point for the distribution process of the ballot boxes and other relevant documents pertaining to the presidential election. Well, the ballot boxes were distributed at 7:50, around 7:50 this morning, and it concluded at 11:50 a.m. as well.
Ballot boxes were distributed to 608 polling stations and election officers were dispatched this morning from the Anuradhapura Central College, which is the main counting centre in the district. 636,733 voters have been deemed eligible to vote from the Anuradhapura district.
Facilities have been provided to all the polling centres to which the voters will arrive to exercise their franchise. Security measures and the infrastructure facilities for these 608 centres have been provided, and also the respective officers have been provided with training and coordination.
In Mathura this morning, election officers and 455 ballot boxes were dispatched to polling centres from the Sujata Vidyalaya in Mathura.
Election officers, ballot boxes and the police officers were dispatched to polling centres in Mathura district from the Sujata Vidyalaya. I was able to witness the smooth flow of this process since this morning.
Election officers and 703 ballot boxes have been dispatched across polling centres in the Gaul district from the Gaul Technical College today.
According to the district returning officer of Gaul, Ravindra Heva Vitarana, over 13,000 state sector employees have been assigned on election related duties. 819,662 persons are eligible to vote for tomorrow's presidential elections.
649,878 persons have been deemed eligible to vote from the Kegalle district. Election officers were deployed along with ballot boxes this morning from the Kegalle Balika Vidyalaya and the Swarna Jayanti College to 569 polling centres in the district. 423 polling stations have been set up in the Noralia district with 530,150 eligible voters expected to exercise their franchise on the district. Accordingly, election officers and ballot boxes were dispatched across these centres from the Gamini National School in Noralia.
The ballot boxes and the respective officers have been dispatched from the Gamini School since this morning. We have also provided special security to the respective centres. As Sri Lanka's #1 news provider, we are ready to travel to all parts of the area to report on the 2015 presidential elections.
Election officers along with ballot boxes were dispatched from the Hardy Technical Institute in Ampara district this morning. 750,775 eligible voters are expected to cast their ballots in 464 centres in the district.
All preparations have been made in Diga Madula for the 2015 presidential election. We at News First will travel throughout Diga Madula and report on the latest as and when it happens.
Jaffna District Returning Officer Sundaram Arumainayagam says that all preparations have been made for voting in the 11 polling divisions in the district tomorrow.
நாளைய தினம் ஜனாதிபதி தேர்தல் நடைபெற உள்ள நிலையில் யாழ் மாவட்டத்தினுடைய வாக்குப்பெட்டிகள் அனைத்தும்
All the ballot boxes have been transported to the polling stations ahead of tomorrow's election. Police and STF personnel have been deployed all around the district to beef up security. Returning Officer Sundaram Arumainayagam informed us that all preparations have been made and that security has been beefed up at the Jaffna Central College, which will serve as the main counting centre.
நியூஸ் போஸ்ட் குலாத்திரி ஆகிய நாம் தயாராக இருக்கின்றோம். தொடர்ந்தும் நீங்கள் நியூஸ் போஸ்டோடு இணைந்திருங்கள். யாழ்ப்பாணத்திலிருந்து விக்னேஸ்வரன் கஜீபன்.
Ballot boxes were also distributed to polling stations in the Kilinochi district today.
கிளிநொச்சி மாவட்டத்தில் ஜனாதிபதி தேர்தலுக்கான சகல ஏற்பாடுகளும் தற்பொழுது பூர்த்தி செய்யப்பட்டிருக்கின்றன. அந்த வகையிலே
all preparations have been made in the Kilinochi district for tomorrow's election. We witnessed the manner in which ballot boxes were transported today amid tight security. The district secretary informed us that all steps have been taken to ensure a free and fair election. We are prepared to bring you the latest as it unfolds.
நியூஸ் செய்திகளுக்காக கிளிநொச்சி மாவட்ட தேர்தல் அலுவலக வளாகத்திலிருந்து ஞானசங்கரி சப்தசங்கரி.
253,058 people are eligible to vote from the 3 polling divisions in the Vanni district.
ஜனாதிபதி தேர்தலுக்கான அனைத்து பணிகளும் வவுனியா.
All preparations have been made in the Vaunia district for the presidential election. Ballot boxes have been taken to all polling stations from the Vaunia district secretariat. We were able to witness that police officers had been deployed at all polling stations in the district to provide security. I am prepared to bring you all the developments from the Vaunia district.
தேர்தல் தொடர்பான உடனுக்குடனான முடிவுகளை வழங்குவதற்காக நாங்கள் வவுனியா மாவட்டத்திலே தயாராக இருக்கின்றோம். நியூஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் செய்திகளுக்காக வவுனியாவிலிருந்து நவரத்தினம் கபிலநாத்.
An individual who sustained injuries in a shooting in Kawata on the night of the 4th of this month has succumbed to his injuries. The individual passed away while receiving treatment at the intensive care unit of the Ratnapura General Hospital. 2 others who were also injured in the shooting continue to receive treatment at the Ratnapura General Hospital.
The Election Secretariat has received 1,373 election-related complaints. The Secretariat stated that 177 of these complaints were on serious incidents. Meanwhile, the police said that 372 complaints were received on election violence.
An unidentified group had attacked and damaged 2 vehicles parked in a residence in Kumbukohorana. Details pertaining to the suspects have not been uncovered as yet. Meanwhile, a group has fired shots at a house in Aranwala, Beliatta. According to our correspondent, a 3-wheeler and a house have been damaged in the incident. Another group fired several shots at a house in Bammanna in Pannala. The residents say that unidentified motorcyclists have carried out the shooting and later fled the area. Meanwhile, another house in the area had also been shot at by an unidentified group last morning. 2 persons travelling on a motorcycle were assaulted in Kotuwella, Pannala. Our correspondent reported that the motorcycle had been dumped into a waterway in the area following the assault on the motorcyclists.
අපි ඉල්ලා සිටින්න කැමති ඒ ප්‍රදේශවල දේශපාලන
We request political representatives, campaigners and officers of authority from each area to carry out duties in accordance with the election regulations. Likewise, we ask such persons to function in a manner in which the voters' rights are protected. Tomorrow is the polling day. We guarantee to uphold the right of the voter by 100%. We have advised all police checkpoints and patrols to immediately take into custody vehicles plying without license plates, vehicles bearing unclear license plates, vehicles bearing garage number plates and those vehicles bearing fake license plates. There may be certain people who share SMS messages and emails that might trigger a sense of fear among voters. Do not be fooled by this. You have the right to exercise your franchise. Sri Lanka Police guarantees that we will protect this right.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොලිසිය සුරක්ෂිත කරනවා.
Director of the Media Center of the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development, Brigadier Ruban Vanigusurya, says that military personnel can only be deployed for election duties at 2 instances. He elaborated at a media briefing convened in Colombo today.
There are 2 instances where the Sri Lanka Army could be involved. One instance is for elections being held on islets. If ballot boxes need to be transported by sea and if the returning officers have made a request for the same, then the Sri Lanka Navy is prepared to provide Navy vessels for this purpose. At the same time, if it is required to transport ballot boxes by air for whatever reason, then the Sri Lanka Air Force is prepared to make provisions for the same. Also, if the returning officers, as per their prerogative, decide that they require transportation for the ballot boxes, once voting is concluded, then they can seek the assistance of the Navy and the Air Force. The armed forces will not be involved in the electoral process in any other way.
කිසිම ආකාරයක ක්‍රියාවකට ඡන්දය පිළිබඳව ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදාව සම්බන්ධ වන්නේ නැහැ.
Brigadier Vanigusurya also made a clarification regarding military personnel being assigned for static duty in this time frame.
විවිධ ප්‍රදේශවල පොලිස් බල ප්‍රදේශයන්හි
There are police officers who are deployed for static duties at various locations in various police divisions. What I mean by static duty is, for example, personnel assigned at checkpoints or for security at a power supply station. Police personnel at such locations have been relieved and replaced with military personnel from the 3 armed forces. But as soon as the police officers return to these locations after concluding their election duties, the military personnel will be removed.
යලි ඒ ස්ථානයට පැමිණි විගස හමුදාවේ පිරිස එතනින් ඉවත් කර ගැනීමක් සිදු වෙනවා.
The Election Commissioner says that the Inspector General of Police is yet to make any request seeking the assistance of the armed forces to provide security during the election process.
යුද්ධ හමුදාව ඡන්ද විමසීමේ ආරක්ෂක කටයුතු වලට යෙදිය යුතුය.
The IGP is yet to make a request from me seeking that the army be deployed for security while polling is underway. I had discussions with the army commander yesterday too. When I asked him, he too noted that there had been no special deployments. But I have received a complaint and a copy of alleged standby orders that were issued to the commanders requesting them to be prepared to deploy personnel to certain police stations if required. I have received complaints of the same. I will take the appropriate steps with regard to this. At the same time, we have deployed the STF to certain areas. The STF reports directly to the IGP, the DIG in charge of elections and the police officers in charge of various divisions, districts and provinces. The police department and the STF will not allow any acts of thuggery.
උපදේශ මත ප්‍රාදේශීය දිස්ත්‍රික් පළාත් පොලිස්පතිවරුන්ගේ නියෝග මත ඒ වගේම පොලිස් දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව සහ විශේෂ කාර්ය බළකාය කිසිදු මර ක්‍රියාවකට ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ.
The Elections Commissioner also spoke on the use of minimal force.
දැන් ඒ අවම බලය කියන එක පොලිසියේ වචනේ පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ.
Now the police do not use that word, minimal force. Sufficient force is the word. They must shoot below the knee or in the head if someone tries to come to the polling booth and grab the ballot boxes. If anyone wants to see what the police and our determination of minimal force is, then tell them to try to go to a polling booth and steal the ballot papers or boxes. Then he will be able to see what manner of force will be used. But he will not be able to say what it was in these places.
In business news tonight, crude oil prices have fallen below $50 per barrel for the first time since 2009, hit by OPEC's production stance, oversupply and weak demand and the strong dollar.
European Brent oil dived to $49.81 a barrel today, a 5-year low. New York crude had already slumped under $50 on Monday. Oil has dropped about 50% since June on worries about weak demand and a decision by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, not to cut output in response to lower prices. Many observers expect the price of oil to fall further as North American shale producers continue to supply increasing quantities of oil and gas, and the oil-producing group OPEC resists calls for cuts in production to support prices. The oil price has now fallen by more than half since June.
And in sports, it's some disappointing news for Sri Lankan cricket fans. New Zealand wrapped up a convincing 193-run win to complete a 2-0 series defeat of Sri Lanka at the Basin Reserve today.
Sri Lanka needed 390 to win and square the series, but having started the day at 45 for 1, they lost 4 wickets before lunch, including the key men Kumar Sangakkara and captain Angelo Matthews for 5 and 8 respectively. Kaushal Silva made his 7th half-century but was a lone performer in the morning session. Off-spinner Mark Craig enjoyed himself after lunch, removing Prasanna Jayawardene, Dinesh Chandimal and Rangana Herath in quick time, at one point sitting on a hat-trick. Lahiru Thirimanne played some handsome strokes in his best score of the series, finishing on 62 not out. Tim Southey wrapped it up with his only wicket of the innings, bowling last man Nuwan Pradeep. Craig finished with 4 for 53, while Doug Bracewell and Trent Boult took 2 wickets each. New Zealand have now won 4 and drawn 2 of their last 6 Test series.
Pace bowlers Lasith Malinga and Nuwan Kulasekara have been included in Sri Lanka's squad for the upcoming ICC Cricket World Cup 2015, jointly co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand. Sri Lanka Cricket today announced the final 15-man squad for the coming ICC Cricket World Cup 2015. Lasith Malinga is a provisional addition to the squad, subject to fitness.
A media briefing was held at SLC today to announce the final Sri Lankan squad that will play in the 2015 World Cup. Angelo Matthews has been named the captain for the tournament, with veterans Kumar Sangakkara, Mahela Jayawardene and T.M. Dilshan included in the squad. The Lankan squad also includes Dimuth Karunaratne, Lahiru Thirimanne, Dinesh Chandimal, Jeevan Mendes, Thisara Pereira, Sachitra Senanayake, Rangana Herath, Suranga Lakmal, Damika Prasad and Nuwan Kulasekara. However, Shaminde Ranga, who currently is included in the ODI squad against the Kiwis, has not been included in the World Cup squad. The forthcoming 11th edition of the World Cup, commencing from the 14th of February, will be important for the veterans Kumar Sangakkara and Mahela Jayawardene, for whom it will be the last time they represent the country at this level.
Well, if there was one shot that illustrated Australia's dominance on day 2 of the 4th Test, it was Brad Hadding's first ball 6 of Mohammad Shami.
The confident Aussie wicketkeeper launched Shami straight down the ground to join Greg Chappell and Tim Ball as the only Aussies to score 6 runs off the first delivery they faced in a Test match.
Adrenaline playing or just a game plan?
Australian skipper Steve Smith became the first man to score hundreds in the first innings of his first 3 Tests as captain and fell just short of breaking Ricky Ponting's record for most runs by an Aussie in a 4-Test series. Shane Watson's 81, Sean Marsh on 73 and Joe Burns' 58 also made good scores as all 6 of Australia's top order passed the half-century mark for the first time in history. Ryan Harris played an entertaining cameo, scoring 25 from 9 balls before Michelle Stark put India on the back foot immediately by removing Murali Vijay for a duck. But that was the home side's sole breakthrough in the final session as Rohit Sharma on 40 not out and KL Rahul on 31 not out showed the quality of the pitch by guiding India to 71 for the loss of 1 wicket at stumps.
Well, that's it from all of us here at the MTV Newsfirst desk for today. But do join us again tomorrow on our first and fast election coverage, where we bring you all the details of the 2015 presidential election, starting from when the votes are cast, when the votes are counted, and when the results are issued. We'll be coupling that with some in-depth analysis from our in-house experts here at Newsfirst. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
I'm Zola Outskun. Take care and good night.